And let's get straight into it with what have you heard, news and culture. I think Auntie Nana, you're up first. What are you getting into?
I'm gonna go with my culture story, which is a story on Harry Caprio. I'm hoping that is how you pronounce his name. He's a UK rapper, and last week now, he actually put out a statement on his Instagram page, just basically talking about the music industry and how it's super fuckeries. So I'll just read a little bit of what he put out there. So he says that being in the industry has broken me. Something that once was my therapy, my passion, became my torment and my anguish. My heart hurts when I think about it. The environment that it's put me in, the demons that it's put me around. I only ever started this because I wanted to change my life. I wanted to be happy. I wanted my family to be happy. I wanted everyone around me to be happy. I wanted to stunt on girls as a kid, but by the time I started popping, I didn't even want that. I just wanted to be visible. I wanted somebody to love me for me. I'm not sure if I'm made to be a rapper, but I love music. I can't even say I love it anymore. Look at that. The people inside them buildings rinsed another broken kid from a working class environment, and they're gonna do it again and again, and the cycle continues. Why does chasing your dreams make you a target for everyone's hate? Why couldn't I just be like the other kids who woke up in a loving household? Why can't I be the kid that just thinks life is fun and goes on holidays with his friends? Why do I be respectful to these demons that are trying to take me for everything I have? I just really wanted you guys' thoughts on this, and that he's had backlash as well from people, like literally just being like, you know, he's a pussy for putting his emotions out there as well, like men can't talk. But then again, you know, just all of the things with the music industry as well. So two things, music industry and mental health and speaking out about it. What are your thoughts?
My heart goes out to him. We have many conversations. We have spoken about the music industry many times on this pod. And it is that, why does success have to come with so much damage, danger, and just almost, if you want to call it, evil behavior just to succeed? There's this kind of blanket understanding of the music industry, especially, I mean, the arts industry in general is full of really bad people that take liberties with people. But the music industry's got like a special behavior, or I don't know what it is, rite of passage that you just have to go through in order to make it. And I don't know how we change it. I don't know why it's like that. And it is what he says, taking young people from working class backgrounds, propelling them into the forefront of fame, and there's no duty of care to support them all the way through it. And us on, you know, the consumer can be very dismissive, supportive at a whim. If they're doing what we like and we're enjoying their music and they're towing the line that we want them to tow, then we're good. And the minute they make a mistake, or the minute they do something that we feel is not right, then they get dropped, or they get attacked, or they get slandered. And then you've got the people, the bigwigs behind them, who are not managing their profiles, who are not managing the communication between the star and the consumer, and just literally, as in quotes, raping them for all they can, just so they can fill up their coffers, and then treat these artists like puppets, especially the young ones. And then it sets a precedent for as they get older, where we think, well, with the older you get, the more you should know. But it's not always like that, especially as young stars across the industry. You get brainwashed into this way of being, and it's very hard to come out of it. There are so many young stars that have got so many demons as adults, and it takes a lot for them to get through. We look at Britney Spears, look at so many others. But I'll hand over to the rest of you. But yeah, my initial thoughts are, my heart goes out to him, man, and he's not lying.
You know what, though? I also think at this point, how many stories do we need to hear about the music industry being treacherous? I just feel as though, like, it's very clear the price of fame for Black people, and like, especially if you're young and stuff, like, it's very, very clear at this point. I mean, 20 plus years ago, TLC was in the exact same position of being taken advantage of. Meg the Stallion of the current generation, same issue over and over again. I think people need to take more time to figure out what it is that they what they're engaging with and how much they can actually take on. Because a lot of the time, the price of fame is really, really high. And while the statement there was like, I wanted to stunt on girls. So there was a drive there to be probably popping bottles and doing the most. And now it hasn't worked out for you in whatever way. And I'm not blaming this person. I do think that the music industry is quite predatory, but I do think that there's a level of accountability that must be taken place before you decide to embark on this journey. It seems as though this person is signed to like a major or something, because they're talking about the people in those buildings. Stay independent, create your own narrative, create your own community of people that follow you and buy into your music. Like, to put music out in this day and age, you really don't need a major behind you. You can today we could make a song and put it up on Spotify. Like, I think people need to figure out how they want to engage in this industry, I guess. And yeah, my heart does go out to it, especially if there's a young person, then they might not have the tools to navigate the space. But I do think there's a level of accountability at this stage, because we just seen too many stories. It's happening literally week in, week out, that somebody else is being messed with the music industry.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just also think as well, I think his statement was not surprising, and also it sounded like to me like a step in like self-awareness. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, you your eyes have been open now to what it really is. And that's the thing. It's just like, because there's so much fantasy injected into the content that comes out of the industry, often it's so appealing, it's sold as such an appealing thing, and the reality is that it's like, you know, if you're the artist, you're literally kind of work like a dog. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, until the wheels literally fall off, you know. And I think it's not for everybody. It's cutthroat. it can be demeaning at times. You know, you can compromise your integrity if you are a person with integrity. You know what I mean? Like, you know, but there are many different roles within the music industry also, as well. So you don't necessarily have to be an artist and put out certain content in order to have a successful career in the music industry. Also, I would say, interesting use of the word demons. I do think as well, we forget, or it's not always obvious to us, that many of those people are from our own community. Do you know what I mean? That are doing it and exploiting our own people and doing it for self-gain over and over again. They are exploiters, they are oppressors just as much as anyone else in those industries, and they think it's okay because that's how the business works. So I think that people going into the music industry today should really, you know, don't take heed to statements like this, and try and, if they want to be in that world, I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I think there is an opportunity to be a force for good. You know, there's a couple of really good, you know, there's many good people in the music industry. I was saying, I'm just particularly talking about the Black side of things, as well, with Black music. You know, Music Coalition, they're doing their thing. I really like what they're doing with Cheryl and them. I just think, yeah, there is space to be a force for good there, and try and protect some of these young people coming up in the game, and kind of like putting them on, do you know what I mean? Like, and exposing more of these like really untoward like practices that are used to exploit our people and our talent over and over and over again. Yeah.
So he's signed to Virgin EMI and started recording from the age of like 14, but he's been like with them for 6 years with Virgin. I think everything you guys said, but definitely I feel like the whole business model is exploitative. So as soon as you enter into it, there's a level of labor that you have to go into. And I think lots of people don't actually understand how that works, how hard you're going to have to work before you even make any money of any kind and get any type of fame, and that all of the expense that they have and the glitz and glam that they put in to allure you into it, that's your money as well. Like, you're going into serious debt when you enter into this business model. Right. And it's like, I feel for him, I really do. But yeah, definitely, we have heard this too many times before, but there's still so many young people. Even one of my friend's sons was ready to sign a deal that literally it's like he would not make any money. This wasn't even that long ago. This was this year, a deal that had in perpetuity in it. It was like, we're only going to give you £500 as your first fee, and you would be signed to us for the rest of your life, whatever music you make. And he was looking at this deal like this, but they're going to pay for my video. And it really is like, I don't get how, it's really strange how you can actually like vocalize it to kids so that they understand what business is, like really get how money works. And when you sign this contract, it's not just for a couple of years while you think these people are helping you. It really is like they will have a hold on the rest of your life. And you're signing your life away.
And your intellectual property and your masters and all of the things that comes with being a creative. I do think that there is so much room for further education in the music industry and by people who are relatable, right? Like, I don't want to, if I was a young, I don't know, rapper, I wouldn't want to hear from an institute. Like, it needs to be the Giggses of the world and them not coming back, Conan and that, telling these guys, this is what it is, you know, those kind of things, because I just think that this shouldn't continue. And it's here in the UK, but it's also happening regularly in the States as well. And I just think something's got to give at this point. Like, you couldn't do this in the banking industry.
Exactly.
I think there's ways and loopholes to defraud anyone anyhow, and that's the nature of business, and it's perpetuated all the time. And I hear what you guys are saying about accountability, but it is, as a young 14-year-old, he was 14, and there's that element of parenting where and especially even parents don't necessarily know. There's parents that will sign the deal, like, oh my gosh, this is it. If you don't know, there's such an element of not knowing law, legalese, as they call it, just contracts and all that type of stuff. So it has to start with the music industry. There has to be standards introduced where it makes it harder. And I understand capitalism and business. Who's going to try and regulate making more money and more money, more money? It's almost damn near impossible. But there has to be at least some basic standards that maybe it is like the artists that we mentioned who have been there, done that, and know what's going on, coming together, working with places like the Music Coalition, as Auntie Sade mentioned, working with institutions or organizations that are trying to set things right, to put in basic legal standards where you cannot do these type of deals too. And if someone's like 14, 15, where are their parents? And if they haven't, and even their parents, guardians, carers, and if they don't have the legal knowledge, supply legal support, there has to be a system where at least that makes it a lot harder. And if because children will make decisions, they'll hear it like, no, my life is different. It's just the nature of young people. And we're talking about young people. And even, it's not to say that just because you're older, you should know better, because sometimes, desperate situation, you think sometimes humans just think that they can do better and that it won't happen to them. We have this kind of like damage control when we can see success enough, like self-sabotage when we see that successes could just be there, and they think, okay, let's just take the risk and just do it anyhow blindly.
At the age of 18, they should be able to renegotiate their contract.
Exactly.
Child, between 14 and 18, really, most places legally. And then at 18, I think they should be able to then reestablish something else. Like, signing away your lifetime rights for absolutely anything is wild in itself. Like,
it's terrible.
I think in California that they have brought that into law now. I remember reading about her, and she's now trying to leave her record label. And within that, it's like, I think it's 19, because she signed with them at like 14, that she should have been able to renegotiate, but we're 3 years off of that. And now she's fighting back for money that she should have got from 3 years ago. There seems to be some forgery in that case as well. Like, maybe the manager actually forged her signature to carry on in a deal when it wasn't renegotiated. There's so many dodgy business practices. And really, it does seem like it's when the artist wakes up to, I'm being exploited. But why is that a part of the music business? Why is there this exploitative nature that runs throughout it when the talent they seem to be the last on the rung? It's like everybody else makes money and then the talent gets it like last. Lawyers, managers, all of that, they make money, and then the talent who is providing the industry is the last one on the rung.
I think it's like, not to defend like exploitative practices at all, but it is a business. I think we connect with the talent because that's the part that we see. So we don't often see all the people and the teams and everyone who works behind them to get them, you know, charted, or to get their, you know, music video sorted, or to get them interviews and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's whole teams, do you know what I mean? But I just think it's just not proportionate, right, in terms of like what they get and what is being put into them. And yeah, I think it's just the exploitation is just too much. I also think that there needs to be, as well as like negotiating when you turn an adult, I think you should be able to bring up your kind of like case and have it reviewed like over a certain amount of time, and go and get back pay if necessary, like her is doing. I think Bounty Killer's doing that as well at the moment, kind of thing. I think back catalogue, I don't think he's received any royalties from the UK side of things or something like that, which is insane. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, how do you get away with that? Do you know what I mean? And they shouldn't. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad that it's been brought up and being dealt with. And I think a lot of, you know, as long as, I think it should be whoever you're signing with, they need to almost prove without a doubt that you were in the right state of mind, you had time to get legal advice. And do you know what I mean? They need to prove that without a doubt before going ahead with these kind of things, because it's just not, what do you call it? It's just not common practice. It doesn't seem to be common practice. With so many of these stories, it just doesn't seem to be common practice. And a lot of young people, not even young, to be honest, a lot of people are just...
It's across the board.
Yeah, exactly. They're just coerced into these things. Like, you know, what was it? I think even Notes was talking about, you know, issues with what he went through. I think, you know, there's people who've been, you know, bribed with like bags. Or do you know what I mean? Imagine. And then there's look what happened with Ivorian Doll with her name. And that's unethical. Like, how does that happen? Like, how is that allowed to happen? That shouldn't. There needs to be like, and maybe this is part of what the Black Music Coalition is doing, but there needs to be an independent body that helps protect these people and helps protect that talent, because ultimately this is talent from our community, this is our currency, do you know what I mean? And it needs to be protected by these vultures, these vultures, to be honest.
Absolutely. And I think that's industry-wide when it comes to the creative arts. There isn't like an independent body. There's no HR for the creative arts. People are just going at it. Someone's gonna say, I've set up a record label and I'm going to sign you, and that's it. And that's literally it. And they're not forgetting some of the criminal element that comes into the music business and things like that. You've got people that are being threatened for life. Literally, for as long as they're making money, they are tied to criminal organizations. Imagine that. And they've got no protection. So and let's go back to his initial story. And one thing we need to explore is people who are coming from difficult backgrounds and getting into this space who they're not even healed themselves. So he said he was sexually abused, and then his character speaking up, even his character has been criticized. This whole alpha beta male, all this type of nonsense, all these type of things where you have people committing suicide, turning to drugs and alcohol, all these type of things to survive in this industry as well. We have to remember that these people, not everybody's got even the wits about them or the background, the stable backgrounds or support, and they get thrown into this thing. And then, what are you going to say on Sade?
So I think like, not to, I always try to see the other side of things also, do you know what I mean? Because like, I don't know all of his work. I think I just know 1 or 2 tracks. I think Gluten Tag probably is one of the tracks that I know. Do you know what I mean? But like, it depends what you're putting out. If you're putting out different to what you're saying now, then for a fan, that is a disconnect. So I can sometimes see the logic in their approach. I don't think it's right, but I can see the logic and like, but bro, that wasn't what you were saying. That wasn't what you was pushing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that is part of the industry, and almost sometimes like to get into the industry or to stay there, you have to put out a certain type of content. I get that, but it's a catch-22. What do you want them to do? You're telling them that you're this tough guy, and then you're not acting tough anymore. That's a disconnect for them. Like, do you know what I mean? It's hard for them I would imagine it would be hard for them to find the sympathy if you are not promoting sympathy. Do you know what I mean? Only in this moment when you're down, then you want my sympathy. It doesn't, that's a disconnect.
I get what
Like Future now saying women have been taking advantage of me, like Future, go and sit in the corner. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, hypocrisy all day long for me, because to shut up. You know what? Everyone
But then it may be
true, but he has to see.
It might be true, but you can understand why people don't have the sympathy, because you've built your career over exploiting women. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are happy to sit in that lane and make that money, but now you want to cry because your feelings are hurt. It's a disconnect.
Please explore. What did he say? I haven't even seen this. What did Future say?
I'm just saying his behaviors and the fact that he's got about 19 kids or whatever.
No, did he say that women have been exploiting?
Yeah, we spoke about it. He said that if he's toxic, then the people he's had kids with are also toxic.
Oh, okay. No, I thought he like literally come on Twitter or social and said, "I now am saying that to them."
No, I don't think Future will ever say that. I really think Future likes the position he plays, and
I mean, just on a more like maybe lighthearted note, I'm not sure. Tion Wayne had a post the other day saying, you know, if he was to do the music that he really wanted to do to please his real fans or whatever, or the fans that he really wants to please, then he wouldn't be where he's sitting today, because he said he just bought another house the other day and his little sister a car. So the trappings of success to get out of, in quotes, the hood or working class situation, people are compromising their integrity, if they had it in the first place, to just make money and get their family out. And we all understand that. Let's just, because even in like I sit more in the film and TV space, and speaking to so many creatives are like, let me just do this hood stuff. We know it's detrimental potentially to the image of Black people. However, make this money, get to a certain level, then I can tell the, you know, the other alternative stories, then I can put other people on. And it's a catch-22. So it's like, let's do that easy, low-hanging fruit stuff that appeal to the masses. And even though I know what I'm doing is wrong, what I'm saying is wrong to me, or maybe how I feel, I'm just going to get there as quickly as I can. And it's that, I know, what do you do with people like that who, like, you know, how do you rein that in?
I think it's just hard to.
It's hard.
It's hard to feel for that. For me personally, I think it's hard. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, especially if you're cognizant and you're aware of the situation, and you know what you playing this role or whatever like is putting towards, you know, our community, and how it reinforces that stereotype perpetually, like, then how am I supposed to feel for you? I can't mop your tears. I think you just have to sit in silence.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
Go. I'm just saying, I think it's content across the board though. Like, Young Miami has this whole show now, right? That show is getting millions of views. What is she talking about that is like anything more than, you know, what, like, she ain't helping anybody change their life, really. She's just having conversations that she would have with her friends over the phone. And while it's well put together, whatever, and it's doing really well, there is a whole podcast out there, or, you know, YouTube channel that could literally change somebody's life that's got 100 views.
Yeah.
So I think like people need to figure out. Go on, Auntie, okay?
No, I don't want to cut. I wasn't going to cut you. I was just agreeing with the name, because the rest of Tion's thing is that the UK ain't easy, man. The masses don't like the best music. And I've actually had that conversation again with creatives in the film and TV space, that if I do something that's comedy or romantic, no one turns up. I do bang, bang, gun, gun, jug, jugs. People are responding. I don't think, I always
But I don't think you can blame audiences.
No, you can't.
It's the houses that push what they want to push.
Exactly.
Like, they don't determine, the audience doesn't determine what gets played on Radio 1, whether it's on the A list or whatever you call it, the B list or whatever. They don't determine that. That's between the record label and them. So it's what is put out. Like, that's not within the audience's control. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, so just like, that's a little bit of a cop-out.
It is, I agree.
I think it's more 50-50. Because actually, if you're fed a diet of something, you become accustomed to that. And so we're now in generations where we have been fed a diet of the lowest common denominator of Blackness that is served as that's Black. And so then when you move outside of that, there are lots of people that don't identify with it, because they're like, that's not Blackness to me, because they've been fed one way, which generally isn't even how Black creatives view creating, but it's how you self is. So
Penetrate.
you could have 3 different projects, and one of them is maybe like your shadow self. It may be the darker side to something that you're interested in, but that's what everybody will be like, that's going to do great. So then you keep on feeding that diet. Really, I think it is for the creatives to step into their own power and really understand that my talent cannot be exploited. And if it is going to be exploited, it's for something that I want to put out there into the world. Because the talent fruit is always going to be used in a way. So actually let it be used for the betterment of our culture than just selling yourself out for money. Because the money is going to come anyway. They need a product to sell. It doesn't matter. If we all decided we're not going to allow the sale of shit things, it would change. So that still the power is in the hands of the creative. Even when they feel powerless, it's a lie. It's not true. They will still come to you because they need a product to sell. If everybody decides, I'm not doing that shit anymore, if it's not what I want to put out there, it's not for me, they'll come around and they'll start putting out something else. We have to change it. It's not for anybody else. It's not for a demon to come and be like, oh, the demon's going to change. No, they're not. They are going to keep on going for that fruit that they can feed off of. Let's change the fruit.
Agreed.
I think also as well, like, I think there are ways that this, like, so for example, like with, I don't know what you want to call it. Is it grime now? I don't know. It's not grime.
Grime.
Or whatever.
Real now.
I think like you should only really and truly be able to do like drill or whatever it is if your work can be fact checked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, or it needs to come with a warning to say like, this is not real.
Exactly.
This is based on true events. Like, this is a figment of my imagination. This is a persona. Like, I think it should be that, so people really understand. Like, no, I'm just a talented poet. Like, that's all.
Who was the artist? Shada, you're right. Who's that artist recently, American artist, who was like, I literally saw it on one of the bars or one of the rooms, and people were coming for him saying like, he's like, it's not real. He talked about gangster stuff, and then someone was coming back and maybe someone was saying they were inspired by the music that he put out. So they didn't want to do all sorts of crime. And he's like, it's not real. But then the arguments are exactly that. You lot perpetuating something like it's real. People believe that rappers, drill artists, I mean, there are some drill artists, that's why drill kind of
there are some,
there are some, but it's true, but it's that, like, it's not true. When you got someone who's got billions, millions and living in a mansion, you're still talking about trapping on the block. It's a lie. But people, young people, or not young people feed into it to validate, even sometimes just to justify their existence. Yeah.
And then also, I just wanted to also just remind that the majority, especially in this country, the majority of people that buy this music, like actually buy, are not our community. So that, do you know what I mean? So that product is being sold and marketed to a community of who they think we are, not who we actually are.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that that should also be reflected with record labels. It's just like, well, you know, why is it that, you know, maybe 80% of your artists that are Black are doing drill? Do you know what I mean? That it needs to be more reflective of like the many different types of music that come out of our community. It needs to be more balanced. There definitely needs to be more women as well being pushed as well. It's just insane. But that's a whole different topic.
I mean, it's this whole factual topic because it's also that. It's like they're the lie that's told that you have to do crime, you have to be sexy, and that's it. And so, and coming back to Black leaders in the group, the Black leaders in this music space do better as well. Honestly, do better, because it's them. The creators could take ownership, but also Black creators who are gatekeepers. You guys know what you're doing, and you guys are slightly worse than anybody.
Most definitely, the A&Rs have a lot to answer for.
Absolutely.
They keep on picking the same type of artists continuously.
Yeah.
But why do I just don't understand, like, to penetrate any market space now, it is the lowest cost. It, like, we could literally film a video on our iPhone. We could literally upload the music to Spotify, X, Y, and Z, virtually for free at this point. Like, I don't understand why people still want to go to these major organizations to be exploited. Like, I understand the glitz and the glam of it, but it costs too much. It just costs too much.
It's everything it's everything we just said, Auntie Remi. It's everything we just said. Like, you're there, you can see this deal. It is the glitz and the glam. Unfortunately, we're starlings. Human beings are starling birds. We like shiny shit, and it hasn't changed, and everything gets perpetuated. It's a 360 never-ending cycle, and we can break it. There's a few that break it, but those who break away, it's not everyone that makes it. Because already there's that X Factor, American Idol, Pop Idol thing where everyone can get famous. It's not true. So for all the millions and hundreds and thousands of people that think they're going to be a star, there's only one or two. It just looks like it's easy. So you think about all of that, who gets through? And that's all that's in our face, shoved in our face, and the content that's shoved in our face. So people think, look, quick things, let me just get my money and I'll sort it out afterwards.
I think it comes down to self-confidence as well as self-worth. And I think when you're from the hood, I think that is the work that needs to be done, because it doesn't matter how much we talk about this topic. The truth of the matter, if you're vibrating at such a low level that you think £500 is enough to sign away your life, there is a massive disconnect with what you think life is worth, and you know, this piece of art or whatever you want to put out, and then the powers that be, you know, supporting is £500. Like, do you know what I mean?
But to a kid as well, who's just going to whatever, somehow got access to the music label, £500 to a kid is a lot. So then, do you know what I mean?
But is it in a grand scheme? Like, a pair of trainers cost £500 now. Nobody's more fresher than these kids on the street with trainers and drip.
But somehow,
even lace wigs start at £500. Like, nobody got more lace wigs than these young people. You know what I mean? I think it's understanding the value of money and self and confidence, and, you know, excavating some of that trauma so you can really understand what it is that you're trying to, like, the position that you're trying to create for yourself. Like, I don't think none of these young Black boys, girls, these X, Y, and Z have any business getting into the music industry until they do some healing work. And that's across industry in regards to content creation. A lot of us are coming from such a broken place. And like Auntie Sade was saying, like, we need disclaimers on some of this stuff, because some of it is uber triggering, some of it is so predatory that it's like you'll soon find out his dad was an artist and his uncle was an artist and this happened to them too, and they just took the deal. You know, it's generational.